Hello there, welcome to my channel. My name is Levi Omagbemi. In this video, we are going to create a word counter with vanilla JavaScript. So before I go ahead and start writing the code of this word counter, I want to show you how this word counter works. So let me say hello world. So I'm going to enter hello world here as an input. And if I click this count word button, it's just going to give me the word count. So hello world is just 2 words. So let me say my name is Levi, and I'm going to give some space at the beginning and some space at the end. And even if I give some space in between each words and click count words, it's still going to give me the same number of words. So we're going to account for white spaces at the beginning, in between each words, and at the end of the word. So this is what we'll be building in this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and let's get started. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create a folder on my desktop, and I'm going to call this folder word counter. I'll open it with Visual Studio Code because that's what I'll be using for this video. If you like to use another text editor, you can go ahead and do that. All right, so for this project, we'll be using just HTML and CSS instead of HTML and JavaScript rather. So instead of using CSS, we're going to use Bootstrap styling. So I'm going to go ahead and create my index.html file. This is HTML, and I'm going to create my JavaScript file, which I'm going to call script.js. So I'll use Emmet abbreviation to put down my HTML boilerplate and change this title from document to word counter. So I'm just going to save this and go live with live server. Live server is just an extension which you can install on Visual Studio Code, and after installing it, you see that go live button at the bottom. So you see we have an empty HTML document. So I'll go ahead and visit the Bootstrap website and just wait for this to load. So I'll be using the latest version of Bootstrap. So I'm just go ahead and check the version here. So this is the latest version 5.3, because the styling might change based on the version, but I think from version 5 to this latest version is going to have um, the same styling, because there are no major changes, just on minor and patch changes. Okay, but just go ahead and use the same thing with me just to be on the same page. Then later, if you like to switch, or if you know how to use Bootstrap, or you can even use CSS, I just want to mention that. Okay, so I'm going to copy this link this link tag and include it in my HTML document, because I'm going to be using via CDN. It's a very minimal project. So I'm going to paste this before my title and go back and copy the script, and I'm going to put it at the bottom of the body tag to save. So by including this script tag and this link tag, we have included Bootstrap styling to our HTML file. We'll be able to now use Bootstrap classes to style our HTML document. So before I proceed, I also want to link my JavaScript file, which is script.js. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. So let's duplicate this and let's go to this word counter tab. I'm going to make this bigger a bit so that I can be writing the code and we're going to see the changes right away. So the first thing I'm going to do is inside my body tag, I'm going to add a main tag. Inside that main tag, I'm just going to add a section. I just want to use HTML semantics tag for this. And we're going to have a div with the class of container. So this is a bootstrap class that is just going to create a box with a margin, with some margin from the edge of our screen. So inside this container, that's where I'm going to place everything. So I'm going to place the header, the text area, and the button we need. So I'm going to say heading. We're just going to use H1 actually, not an header. And the heading, we are going to say word counter. So if I save, you're going to see this at the top. So I want this to be centered. So I'm just going to say class text center. So these are all bootstrap classes. If I say it's going to place it at the center. Now I want some padding at the top. So I'm going to say py. So py is just padding vertically, top and bottom. I'm going to say 5 to push it down a bit. All right. Now I'm going to put the text area. So we need a text area, and I'm just going to call it user input. And for ID, I'm also going to give it user input. Then I'm going to add a class. So let's just save so you see the way the text area looks. So this is how it's going to look. Let's give a margin at the bottom of this H1 just to push it down a bit. Then I'm going to add a class. So I'm going to add form control, the class of form control. And this is just a class, a bootstrap class for making input field looks nice. So I'm going to save this, and so this is what we have. So I want some border. I'm going to add border, and I want border of 2 pixels, and I want the border color to be primary. So primary is a color in bootstrap. So this is what we have. Now the next thing we need to do is to add the button. So let's just add margin button of t with 2, just to push the button down. So I'm going to create a button with the class of btn to make this a button in bootstrap, and I'm going to say btn primary because I want it to have that light blue color. And I'm going to say count words. Yeah, count words, and save. Okay, so let's make this capital letter, count words. All right, then I'm going to give it a width of 100%, so it's going to occupy the whole page. So for that, for in bootstrap, you just have to say w-100. So w hyphen and 100 just to give it a width of 100%. Let's also add margin button of tv, and I'm going to give this an id of user action, because we are going to use this id to grab these elements from the DOM. Okay, so that's the purpose of IDs. And alert, so div, I'm going to give it a class of alert. So this container, this div container, we are going to use it to show the word counts to the user and also display error to the user when the user provides wrong input. Okay, so alert, by default I'm going to set it to alert success. So this is just going to give us a green color, alert success, and I'm just going to say word count. For now, let's just say 0. If I save, we're going to see this nice box here. Okay, so if I change this to alert danger, it's just going to give us red. So we're going to use danger for error and success when to display the word count. Okay, so I also need to give this an ID. So I'm just going to give it an ID of user alert. So by default, I want to hide this, and I'm just going to remove this text here because we're going to pass in the text content from our JavaScript. So to hide this, I'm just going to set display to none. So this is the bootstrap class you can use for that, d-none. If I save, you see it's no longer showing. Then let's, I think that's all for our HTML. We can now go to our JavaScript file. So the first thing we need to do is to select the input, the button, and the alert from the DOM. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to say const, I'll call this user input, and it's going to be document dot get element by ID, and it has an ID of user input. So this is the ID. So I'm just going to copy this like 3 times, and we're going to do so we have user action, right? So user action, and this is going to be user action, and we have user alert, and this is going to be user alert also. So this is the 3 components we need from the DOM. Now the next thing we need to do is to create an event listener to count words. So anytime you click this count words button, we are going to check if there's an input, and if there's an input, so if the user provides a text, we are going to count the words in that text, else we are going to display error. Okay, so I'm going to take the user action, which is the button, and then we're going to add an event listener. So we're going to listen for a click event. When that click event fires off, I'm just going to pass in a function here called count words. So this function does not exist. We have to create it. So function count words. Then let's just log in something on the console just to test it. So let's just say click. So if I open my console and if I save, open my console and click, we are going to get clicked. We are getting clicked, so it's working. All right, so instead of logging something in the console, we want to check for input, right? So the way I'm going to do this is that I'm going to say if there's no input, we are going to display an error. So if not user input dot value, so we can get the value of this input by calling dot value property on this variable. And I'm just going to log on the console. I'm just going to say please enter a text and save. So if I don't provide anything, if I click, we're going to get this please enter a text. But if I say hello, for example, and click, we're not going to get anything. So after showing this error, we're going to return. The reason we are returning is because the condition, the set of instruction that is going to count the words the user is giving to us is going to be placed on that. So once we get an error, we just want to stop the function, and this return keyword is going to stop the function. Okay, so but if this condition passes, then we want to get the words. So I'm just going to say const words is going to be equal to user input. So it's going to be equal to user input dot value dot split. So the split function is a string method that is going to split a string based on the separator you pass. So I'm just going to pass in comma here, and let's just log word in the console. So I'm going to say hello, comma, my, comma, name, comma, is Levi. So what do you think is going to happen? It's going to look at each part of the text where we have comma and it's going to split. So if I click count words, you see we have an array of 5 items. So hello, my name is Levi. So it's splitting because we are passing comma in here. So let's say I'm just going to copy this text because I don't want to repeat myself and passing full stop here instead. Save. If I paste this and click count word, it's just going to give me an array of one item, and the item is going to contain the text that I passed here because we are splitting with full stop and there's no full stop in this sentence. So if I should remove this comma we have here and put full stop and click count words, you see now we have two characters because we have full stop at the middle here, splitting it into two. We have two items in our array. So that's how the split function works. All right, so we want to get the length. So whatever length it returns is the length of the count of the word. So that's going to be our word count. So to do that, I'm just going to say CLG. We're going to use template string, and let's just say um, word count. Word count, and we're going to pass in words dot length. So if I should, and I also want to change this full stop to space. So we're going to use space to split. Okay, so save one more time, and I'm just going to say hello. Let's just write something here. Hello, my name is. So if I click count word, you get word count equals to 5 because we truly have 5 words, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now, instead of logging this in the console, we want to display this to the user. What we can do is to select this alert from the DOM, which we already did here. So I'm going to, before the console, because I'm going to take this template string we have here and set it to the text content. So I'm going to say user alert dot text content, and we're going to set it to this. So I'm going to cut this, paste here, and just get rid of this console. So if you remember, we are adding a class of display none to add to hide this alert in our HTML document. So now we need to show it. So I'm going to say user alert, not action alert dot class list dot toggle. So this class list dot toggle method is going to look for a particular class in an HTML tag, and if that class exists, it's going to remove it. But if the class does not exist, it's going to add it. So we're going to toggle d-none. Then, so if I'll just go ahead and type, let's just try it out to see. Hello, my name, and click count word. So get word count equals to 5. But after 2 seconds, we want to remove this. So I'm going to say we're going to use set timeout actually. So set timeout. I'm going to pass in a callback, and I'm just going to say, so instead of typing this out, I'll just copy this. So we want to toggle the class again after 2 seconds. So this is in milliseconds. So if you want 2 seconds, you're going to pass in 2000 because 2000 milliseconds is equals to 2 seconds. So let's save this, and I'm going to try it out again. Hello, my name, So if I click count word, we get word count 5, and after 2 seconds it goes off. Okay. So now we are getting the word count and we are displaying it to the user. So let's do the same for the error. If there's error, we want to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy this and paste here. So for the text content, instead of saying word count, we are going to pass in this please enter a text. So I'm going to cut it from here and put it here and get rid of this console. We don't need it. Then want to also toggle the class, but we don't just want to toggle the class this time because we are displaying an error. We want to change, like I showed you, want to change alert success to alert danger. So we are going to use this class list again. So I'll just copy it, but instead of using toggle, we are going to use a different method called replace. So replace is going to replace an existing class with the class you are going to provide. So we are going to provide a bootstrap class. So instead of alert success, we are going to replace it with alert danger. All right, so we're going to replace we're going to replace alert success with alert danger. Okay, alert danger. If I save this, let's try it out and see what will happen. We don't need to provide a text. So I'm just going to click this, please enter a text. Okay, and after 2 seconds it goes off. But if I say hello, for example, I'm just going to say hello world. You get word count, but if you notice it's showing red instead of green. So after removing it from the DOM, after changing the, we are not removing it from the DOM actually, we are just changing the CSS property to hide it. So we are going to copy this, replace. After doing that, behind the scene, without seeing the alert, we are going to replace danger with success. So if I save this and let's try it one more time. So click, enter a text. I'm going to say hello world, get word count, and notice it's green this time. All right, so in the beginning of the video, I said we are going to account for three different errors. So one of the error, of course, you need to, anytime you are using an input, the first thing you need to do is to check if there's a value. So that's normal. So one of the error we are going to account for is if, let's say for example, the user adds space mistakenly. So there are some white spaces, some trailing white spaces, and the user clicks the count word button. You see, we have a word count of 25 now because JavaScript is taking these spaces to be words. So I'm just going to log words in the console again so you can see what's happening behind the scene. So words and save. Let's just do that one more time. Let's wait for this to load and let's say hello. Let's give some space and say word, hello word. And I'm going to click count word. So you see, it's splitting both the white spaces. So we have 12 character, 12 items, which means our word count is 12 instead of 2. So we need to account for that. So the way we are going to do that is instead of splitting with space, we are going to split using a regular expression. So I'm going to remove this, type out the regular expression, and I'm going to explain to you. So we are going to use this regular expression. We are going to escape and say plus. So this S is going to match all white space characters. So we are going to search for all white space character and we're going to add G. So this G means global. We're going to search for all white space character in our text. Okay, so we're splitting by white spaces, even though it's one or more. So that's what this regular expression means. It means we are splitting with white space, that one or more. Okay, so I'm going to save this and let's do that again. Let's say hello, give some spaces and say word. So get word count 2. So that's one of the error we need to account for. The other error is if the user starts the text with space or ends with space. If we click, we are going to get an error because it's going to get rid of only the first space, and if there are multiple spaces, it's just going to print it out as word. So what we need to do is to use, before splitting this, we are going to use dot trim. So the trim method is going to remove, so let's just read it. It removes the leading and trailing white spaces and line terminator characters from the end. So line terminator simply means like a break line. Okay, so slash backslash n is a break line. So it's going to remove any of these character white spaces from the beginning and white spaces from the end. So if I save this and let's try this again and say hello world, let's add some white spaces at the beginning and at the end. You still get 2. Okay, so that's the second error we need to account for. Now the third error is we need to check, but here we are checking if the user provides a value. Okay, what if the user provides only space as value? So instead of putting a text, the user just gave us only white spaces as input. If we click, we are going to get a word count of 1, and we don't want that. So what we can do is, here where we are checking for the user input, so we are saying if not user input, we also want to check if the user is giving us just white space. So to do that, I'm going to say or, then we are going to use a user expression, not user regular expression. We are going to use a regular expression, and the regular expression is going to be this. It's going to be similar to this. Okay, so we are going to check if the um, user input is starting with space. So to do that in regular expression, we need to use the caret symbol. This caret symbol is just going to check if, oh, I'm so sorry about these messages. So this caret symbol is just going to check if the user input is starting with space. So like I said, S is going to match white spaces, and we're going to add asterisk. So asterisk is going to look for one or more spaces, and we're going to add dollar symbol. Dollar symbol is going to check if the user input ends with space. Okay, so now we are going to use the dot test function. So we can use this function on a regular expression, and we are going to pass in the string we want to test, which is user input dot value. Let's save this and let's try this. I'm just going to close the console. So I'm just going to enter white spaces and click count word. So you get please enter a text. So now let's just say hello world. Let's add so many spaces just to check if everything is working and get 2 words. So that's all. But before I end this video, I just want to, let's remove this, and I'm going to go to the login ipsum website. So login ipsum generator. So we are going to test this using login ipsum. Let's generate 100 words. So I'm going to pass in 100 here and click generate. If I copy it, I have to copy everything. Copy and give it to our word counter and click count words. We're going to get 100 counts because we generated 100 words. So I'm going to add some space, can add as many as you like, and it's still going to give you the right word count. All right, guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoy it. So if you enjoy this video, I want you to leave a like. If you have not subscribed to this channel, I want you to subscribe to this channel, and I'm going to see you next time in another video. Thanks for watching.